Folks, my last couple of episodes, one was diagnosing just how divided we are, and the other was some solutions of how to try to unite us again. And something dawned on me, Generation X. You know what nobody wants to say out loud? Gen X didn't watch this country changed. We raised the generation living it now. We raised Gen Z. We raised the kids who are walking into a world now we didn't fix, a system we didn't maintain, and a political circus that we just didn't shut down. Now, before anybody gets defensive, I'm not here to beat up on us. I'm here to remind us we, Generation X, are the adults in the room. We're the ones who know what worked, what didn't, and who broke what. We diagnosed the problems. We laid out the fixes as I did. Now it's time to talk about the part nobody likes, the blame game. Not blame to divide us, blame to clarify things, blame to stop pretending this is all just happening. Blame so we could finally build something better for the generation we raised. Because if we don't own our part, and if we don't fix our part, Gen Z inherits the same mess we complain about every day. So let's talk about who broke what and where Americans can actually agree long enough to rebuild it. The Rossano report is next. My dear friends and fellow Americans, folks, we all know the truth. The people who broke this country aren't the ones screaming on TikTok. It wasn't the 19-year-old barista kid. It wasn't the college kid trying to figure out how to pay rent. It wasn't teenagers glued to their darn phones. It was the institutions that we trusted. It was the leaders we tolerated. It was the system we let rot because we're too busy raising families, building careers, and trying to survive the chaos of the last 30 years. Gen Z grew up independent, skeptical, tough. We practically raised ourselves in some cases, but we also grew up tired. And while we're busy in the figure out yourself generation, which is exactly where we came from, the people in charge figured out how to take advantage of that. If you're Gen X and you're ready to stop complaining and start rebuilding, hit subscribe, like, share, comment, click the notification bell for all the latest episodes of the Rossano Report. If you're Gen Z and you're tired of inheriting problems you didn't create, you hit subscribe. This show is about cutting through the noise, calling out the people who broke the system and figuring out how to fix it together. Not left, not right, not tribal, just Americans. Think about what we can agree on for just a second. They underfunded veterans care. They let infrastructure crumble. They shipped our industries overseas. They turned elections into a reality TV. They dragged us into endless wars. They let immigration become a political weapon instead of a system. 10 million, 15 million illegal immigrants unchecked came into the United States under the Biden administration. And we watched it happen. Not because we didn't care, but because we were told, stay out of politics, focus on your life, don't rock the boat. Meanwhile, folks, the boat freaking sank. And now, Gen Z is standing on the shore asking, why didn't you fix this? Because it's our responsibility. I got a Gen Z behind me. Thank God I raised her right. And the honest answer is we didn't fix it because we thought someone else would. Right? Right. But nobody did. Now, here's the good news, and there is some, and the part where Americans can actually agree, and it's possible we can still fix it. We can rebuild it. We can still hand the next generation a country that actually works. You remember the Breakfast Club? When I get old, when you get old, these kids are going to be running the country. Well, he was right. We're those kids who are now adults, Gen Xers, who are running the country. But only if we stop pretending this is someone else's responsibility. It's ours. Okay? Because we raised that next generation. We did. We raised Gen Z. We raised them. We own them. We owe them better than the mess that we're leaving behind us now. So let's think of where we are here. We diagnosed the problem. Now we have to do our part. We raised Gen Z and they're inheriting a system that we didn't fix. Institutions failed, veterans, infrastructure, industry, elections, foreign policy, and immigration. Now, elections. I just want to get to that real quick. No wonder why President Trump screams it's rigged back in 2020. Let me tell you what bothers me here, folks. We have YouTube, Facebook, Microsoft, Walmart, SpaceX, General Electric, and we can't seem to count votes. Do you know how easy voting should be? You should be able to actually vote online nowadays with your thumbprint. Okay, it should be that easy. Yeah, everybody that votes should have an ID. I thought everybody did. The blame isn't about division, folks, because it's about clarity. Americans agree on the fixes more than they disagree. Okay? That's a start. Gen X can still rebuild the country if we stop outsourcing all the darn responsibility. Gen Z, our kids, deserve a functioning system, not a broken one. Unity isn't being naive, it's overdue, my dearest friends and fellow Americans. The people who broke the country aren't the ones screaming online. Rebuilding starts with accountability, not outrage. Let's sum it up. Gen X has one last shot to do something meaningful, not for ourselves, but for the generation we raised. We can't change the past. We can't undo this damage, but we can decide what happens next if we choose to build instead of blame. If we choose to fix instead of fight each other, if we choose to lead instead of shrug, then maybe, just maybe, Gen Z will inherit a country worth inheriting, and they won't be so angry and so sensitive and need safe spaces all the time. I must state and reiterate as I close out, dearest friends and fellow Americans, Gen X, my generation, we raised these safe space, need crayon, trauma dog kids. So let's get to work. As always, my dearest friends and fellow Americans, I graciously appreciate you hanging out with your pal, Joe Rossano. I will kindly ask all generations to please subscribe, share, comment, like, click that notification bell for all the latest episodes of the Rossano Report. Please take a moment to adopt yourselves a pet. God bless you, my dearest friends and fellow Americans. And we will see you next time.